Hello people, what is crack-a-lackin' inspiration? I am back with another video. So today's video is going to be my comparison of the two Mulans, because believe it or not, unless you're a true martial arts fan like me, there is actually two Mulan films. Well, if you can count the animated ones, there's actually about 4 or 5. But you obviously have the most recent one released by Disney, which regrettably I didn't want to get on DVD, but for you guys, I got it for research purposes. Watched it last night. And then we have the original Mulan, because this one came out in 2009, and this is a remake of the original one that came out ages ago. So depending on what you're a fan of, you could say the Disney Mulan one's the proper one, but you know, I say this one is the Chinese one by Cine Asia, because they're known for doing proper martial art films. I have a lot of their films. So there's 5 things I'm going to go through and talk about. If you can drop a like, subscribe, all that lovely job yourself, on the road to 600 now. Sorry it's a bit of a confu week this week, because obviously my other video is my top 5, 6 confu, but next week you will be getting a lot of videos. You'll be getting 3 videos. I'm going to finish on a high for you guys. 3 videos. You'll be getting the Christmas podcast, which hopefully me and Josh can do in person. My end of the year video, I kind of go over the end of what the year has been like for me, and then what you can expect coming forward from this this channel next year. Some things I've got planned that I hope to execute. So, and then I've got the 2 videos planned when I come back, which is going to be my Den Tour 2.0, because I realised I did a Den Tour a year ago, and I still haven't finished, didn't do an updated one, because it's very updated and different now. And what changes to expect on my channel, because there will be changes. So I will speak about what to expect in my channel, and what the video before Christmas, but video after will be I won't mention any changes. That'll be saved for the changes video. So nevertheless, let's crack on. So the story of both of them. So Disney Mulans, I'll hold up each one when I talk about them so you know which one I'm talking about. This one, very typical basic film, no surprise eggs, done by Disney. Basically the same kind of story of she gets trained, and then she goes behind her father's back and goes replaces his place in the army, gets discovered by the army, and then gets accepted because of her exceptional fighting skills and all that, and then goes on to beat the bad guy. It's a okay story, but it's a very typical story. Now this is where this one, and I think this story comes in a lot better in my opinion, is very different, because in the Disney one she gets trained from a young age. This one she doesn't. And the reason why she goes to army, she does go behind her dad's back, but the reason she goes behind her dad's back is because he's very, very ill. He's like nearly enough dying, and that's why he can't go to the army, and that's why she feels guilty and takes her place. And then she gets trained in the army, and then she still gets discovered in the army, and that's why she becomes the leader. But the reason I like the story different to this one compared to that one is a lot more to it. It's not straightforward. Like this one, for instance, the reason she gets put as a leader is because the actual leader of the army fakes his death because he sees the potential in her, so that she can replace him and lead the army. And there's a lot more to it. There's not just that one where the Disney one simply is she gets put in the army leader and then she takes the bad guy down. This one, there's moments where her friends die, so she literally gives up, and then her friends continue to fight in the army because they're obviously in the army. And then there's when she has her big comeback, finally picks herself up and then goes and defeats the bad guy. So for story purposes, I'm going to go with this one, the old one, because there's a lot more to it. It's not a straightforward go behind the dad's back, join the army, get discovered, beat the bad guy. There's a lot more ups and downs with the story mode. That's one's the story. So far, one to the old Mulan, because the story is 10 times more interesting and better in my opinion, which I thought it would be. They're both quite accurate to the main story, but that one's just a bit more plain, like I said. Next thing, combat. I'm going to give these one, so let me get them up. I'm going to give these one a draw. I'm going to give them a draw on the combat, because the reason I'm going to give them a draw is I think, yes, the final battle in this one is much better, which I would expect it to be because it's more modern, but then when it comes to that actual army fighting, when they're in the big army scenes, and how much there is of fighting, this one's got a lot more fighting in it, and a lot more better army fighting scenes. So for fighting, I'm going to go with both of them. So one apiece. This one's winning so far 2. Another thing I think they both did okay on, and both are pretty similar, is the bad guy. The major difference with this bad guy is he sits back and kind of lets the army invade, because like I said, part of the story is she gives up, but her army has to still go out and try and defend, and then she does her big comeback, picks herself back up after she's like lost her friends from death, because that just basically ruins her. She comes back, executes plan, traps the bad guy and defeats him. But apart from that, the bad guy in that film is kind of just a bit boring. He kind of just sits back and let the army keep failing because they keep losing. Same with this one. Well, it's the opposite really. The bad guy actually attacks first in this one, hence why she's got to defend herself. And then she goes and gets, goes back and takes back, because he destroys her city, goes back and gets him back and kind of gets rid of him. And also there is some kind of witch in it, in this one, for some odd reason that pretends to work with the bad guy, but then actually turns out to be on the good side and just wants a woman to rule the world. But yeah, so they're both different styles of bosses. Like I said, this one actually attacks, that one kind of just sits back and lets the army keep getting destroyed. This one kind of gets destroyed first and then comes back. So that's the reason I'm going to say the bad guy is the same in both. I like both of them the same, so 3-2. Last two things. How much did it keep me interested? I'm going to have to give it to this one. This old one. Because like I said near the beginning, this one has a much more interesting story. So for me, this one's a bit too vanilla, a bit too plain. It's a very typical film, which doesn't surprise me, it's done by Disney. And this is the only Disney film I bought, unless you count Marvel, which obviously that is Disney. But apart from Marvel, because I love Marvel, this is the only Disney one I bought. And it's a very vanilla story. Like I said, it's very... She goes behind her dad's back, same as she does in this one, except for she goes behind her dad's back because he is ill, but he's not as ill as the one in this one. In this one, he's literally on the verge of death. On this one, he's a little bit ill, and she's just very talented and takes his place. This one, he's on the verge of death, and that's why she does it. And then obviously you got the training. They both get discovered pretty, like I said, different ways, because in this one she just gets discovered by beating a load of people and is the last one standing in a fight, and her helmet gets knocked off, and that's when she gets accepted as the captain. This one, like I said, the captain actually fakes his death so that she can take his place, because he sees the potential in her. And then from there, like I said, this one's pretty straightforward. Her village gets attacked, she goes back, takes out the bad guy. This one, like I said, a lot more ups and downs. At the end, because she's in love with the captain, she can't even marry the captain at the end, which is a nice little twist. I think this one's a bit vanilla as well, because it's a very basic, finish to the story, very happy finish to the story, which I get it, because for kids. But this one finishes on a bit of a sour note, because she's in love with the captain, but she can't marry the captain, because to keep the peace, the captain's got to marry the daughter of the bad guy, to kind of keep the peace through the countries. And like I said, there's a lot of ups and downs in this film as well, this one. So for story, I'm going to have to give it to this one. For me, that one's a bit too vanilla, too boring. And last but not least, which again, this is why this one wins on this one, Mulan, the actual character Mulan. I have nothing against whoever played this one, I don't know her to be honest. She did an excellent job, but for me, because like I said, there's a much more story to this one, there's a lot more emotion involved, like when she gets defeated and she has a big comeback, and there's bits where she's just mourning and cannot be bothered. For me, this character Mulan is much more interesting, much more better. So there you go. I gave them both a chance. I did my research, but to me, and it doesn't surprise me, Senor Asia did the better story in my opinion. Like I said, the story was better, it kept me all interested, and the actual Mulan character was a lot better than the Disney one. The only thing the Disney one, like I said, kept up with is the bad guy, because they did them different ways, but they both were pretty okay. Bad guy is nothing really interesting, and the combat was good in both. So that's my review, my comparison of the two Mulan stories. Like I said, I'll be back next week with 3 videos, all Christmas themed ones, and then that'll be it. I will be off air till the 1st of January. A-Gaming will be finishing around the same time. But anyway, I've been Inspirational. I hope you enjoyed this video of Mulan. Obviously check the films out for yourself, but only check that one out if you're a true martial arts fan, I would say. But anyway, on that note, I've been Inspirational. I'll catch you later. Cheers, bye!